Rita Ellen Mirchandani. Welcome to the Woo Report. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm already having fun and we haven't even fully started. So I know this is going to be such a magical talk. And if you're listening, I hope we just let's invite in the magic to begin with us and go on this journey today.
Yes, all the magic. I'm so happy you're here. Rita, you are an Akashic Records teacher and a spiritual life coach. And you do such a beautiful job bridging this gap between this ancient wisdom that is the Akashic Records and integrating it into modern living. And I know that the Akashic Records can be pretty niche. Give us a 101. What is the Akashic Records?
Just for anyone listening, the first time, even though I teach the Akashic Records, the first time I heard that word, I was also like, what is that? It sounds a little bit mystical or a little bit out there. And I just want to normalize that. It's normal to be a little bit apprehensive about things we don't know yet. So the word Akashic, if we break it down in Sanskrit, means ether, it means sky. And then it's a sky record. So if you imagine that there's this energy field that is in the sky that holds the energy of the past, present, and future. That's what the Akashic would be if you Google it. Now, I'm going to bring it down to human terms in what I really mean it to mean for me, which is it is our soul record. So imagine if there was a place where you could go within yourself, around yourself, everywhere, where you could connect to your soul. And not just for really deep soul questions like, what is my life purpose? Why am I here? Is this the right relationship for me? Are these my patterns? But for your everyday living, such as, what do I want to do today? What would be the highest thing for me to do for my soul? Should I work with that person? Would that be a good thing? Like, where does my Akashic want me to go today where I could experience magic? So, while it is this mystical concept of connecting to your soul, it can be very much applied to your everyday living if you're open to it.
How does this differ from intuition? Just as you're talking, I'm like, okay, is that if I'm asking that, is that also my intuition? Is it the same thing? Is intuition a channel to the Akashic Records?
So I would say that's a great question. And it's very much the vibration that you feel. So I often say it's the difference between love and joy. How do we express the difference, right? You just feel it in your body. You know, oh, I'm feeling love for this person, or oh my goodness, I'm feeling so much joy right now. I'm feeling gratitude. So when you intentionally enter the Akashic, you will feel a slight vibrational shift that will feel different than intuition. They can often give you the same messages, but you will experience how it's coming to you in a different way.
Wow. Okay. And everyone can access this. Everyone can access the Akashic.
As long as you want to. So that's the big thing, right? Like, do we all want to? Maybe not. But if you
Mhm.
kind of look at it like, yeah, I want to talk to my soul. What harm could that bring me? What could I find out? What could I connect to? So if you're open, absolutely everyone can, but we may not all want to at all points in our life. And we also may want to go somewhere else to have that done for us. So like I don't like doing my taxes. I go to get my taxes done for me. Um,
Totally.
but if you are wanting to connect to your intuition and be more like in alignment with your soul, yes, you can always, anyone can access it.
And you teach people how to access it
Yes, and
as
there's
part of one of your
multiple
programs.
ways. I mainly self-taught myself. So back in 2020, I had an experience, or I got a reading done where someone read my Akashic and they did not teach how to read it. So they read for me. So I had a general idea of like, okay, they read like this. Can I find out on my own how to read the records? So for those listening, you can learn on your own as well. But I've learned different, easier ways that you can start to connect, which is basically your intention. If you just start by saying, I want to connect to my Akashic, and then you say a prayer, you can make up your own prayer, or you can, I have like a free guide where you can download a prayer. You just set that intention and then try to access it and then be open. And that's literally how you first start to connect to the Akashic. And then it's a loophole and it goes on forever how deep you can go. But that's the basic way you start to read them.
And so then it's when you say that an intention to get real granular, it looks a little bit like meditation.
Um, yes. And I mean, so it starts that way. The easiest way to start, like for example, right now as we're talking, I could access it as we're talking in real time. So you don't
Mhm.
have to meditate to do it. It in an ideal world, it's happening as we're communicating and we're connecting and we're walking around and we're being human beings. But when we first start, of course, the easiest way is to pause, Let me try to connect. Let me focus on one thing at a time. So it would look like closing your eyes, getting in a comfortable position, relaxing, having no expectation, and then just saying, I want to open my Akashic records. And then just noticing after you do that, what is the first thing you feel or experience? And do you feel a slight shift in vibration? Do you feel a little anxiousness? Do you feel something open? What is your experience the moment you first try to open it? And then the big part is not second guessing the first experience you have.
Yes. I think when I first learned about the Akasha Records, I was like very early on in my spiritual journey, and I journeyed there with intentionally twice, once with when during a past life regression.
Oh, yes.
And someone like took me there. And then the other time was in a meditation, but both of them I did not trust myself. I still don't know what I experienced because I was not trusting myself yet.
Yes.
It was like too soon to be doing
Too
it.
soon. Yep.
Yes. Okay, so another question about the Akashic though. So we're talking to our soul, but in a world where maybe we have many lives, are we talking? So can you get into it, because it's kind of quantum in that it has access to our future and our past and every timeline, right?
Yes. So great question. And so also I want to share for based on what you said too about it felt like too much at that point.
Yes.
I want to normalize like our logical mind is here to keep us safe and it's very good for us. Like I love logic and like I love applying logic into the spiritual so like we can
Mm,
bridge the gap. If
yes.
you are like, did I really have that experience? Just ask yourself, well, why would I make that particular thing up? Let's say I did make it up. Why did I make that particular life up, that particular experience up, that particular image? Let's say I am making it up. Play with that, and you'll get a knowing of like, oh, I had a lifetime where you know, I was a witch. Why would I make that up? Okay, well, I'm having all these throat chakra issues. I'm having trouble speaking up for myself. How does that connect to the now? Because whatever you're seeing, there is a message if you can just say, okay, even if I made it up, what is the message in that?
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like that, I
mhm,
find like that dissolves the logical mind because you're giving yourself permission to
mhm.
explore it no matter what.
Yeah, totally. It's like why that? Why that image? Why that memory? Why that?
Yes,
Why am I humming this random song? Like it's probably
yes,
for a reason.
yes. And like, even if you have an intuition, I need to go pick my child up right now. Why would I make that up? Is this a thought I've had before? Or is this
Mm,
like a deeper knowing? Like, I need to go do that right now. Or is there
mm,
a fear because I saw something on the news yesterday and I just need to soothe it?
mm,
You know, so
mhm,
just giving anyone permission, because for me, that dissolves my logical mind immediately of
mhm,
like, we're going to move beyond that I'm making it up.
mhm. Okay. And then what do you make of like the full timeline, the future past lives in the Akashic? Is that it's just the book of all the things?
So, because it's our soul record, one thing that when I enter the Akashic is that you say only what is for our highest good to know. So, for example, if I was like, someone could say to you, well, if you can really read this, then why do you not know who our next president is? Why do you not know X, Y, and Z? Why do you not know when the world will end? Well, my question back would be, if we knew who our next president was, would everyone go out and vote? Would everyone go out and advocate for the things they believed if you knew the end result? You wouldn't, because you know the end result. And on a personal level, like let's say someone came to me for a reading and they said, I really want to know the name of the person I'm going to marry and when it's going to happen. The Akashic may show that, but most likely it would say, these are the patterns you need to disengage to become the person who meets that person. So
Mm,
it would more help you into your becoming process than
mhm,
you're going to marry John on December 2027 and you don't, if you sit in your bedroom, that's just going to happen. No, it won't, because the Akashic is more a guide to becoming, and it reveals the possible potential timelines in your becoming process. So that's more what it means about the past, present, future.
mhm.
Does that resonate?
It does. It sure does. Yeah, that makes so much sense.
And of course, some things they just kind of drop in, and you're like, oh, I feel like that's pretty certain that's going to happen at that point. But for most of us, knowing the future, we would not be as far along in our journey to still show up if we knew exactly what would happen.
Mm, yes. What you do also often on your Instagram is you say things like, these are common occurrences that happen in your day-to-day life that could mean you are accessing the Akashic records. Could you give
Yes.
us a couple of those examples?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the first one is you just get like a download, what we might call it like a sudden idea.
Hmm.
That would be, I mean, could it be coming from somewhere else? Sure. But a lot of the times, it'll just feel like a knowing in your soul. Like, I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to call this person. And sometimes that's your intuition, but if you really go deep into it, most of the time it's the Akashic. It's coming from somewhere else because it literally will feel like it drops in.
Mm.
So that's an example. Another one could be when you meet someone, like that could feel like deja vu, but sometimes that's coming from the Akashic realm, a soul knowing something's being sparked for you. That could be a past life connection from the Akashic. That could be a future connection you're picking up on as soon as you see the person. Those are just like small ways. And another one would be you feel something's about to happen. Like you get this knowing that something's going to happen, but you're not sure what yet. I would say that's an example of how you know you're kind of connecting, but maybe not fully consciously yet.
Mm.
Because there we can connect and then we can consciously connect.
Hmm.
Like we
Yes.
can love and we can very consciously love.
Hmm. Yeah, all based on our intention.
Yes.
And so for
And
you, day to day, you are like, okay, I'm going to just tap in and to the Akashic intentionally and see what I should eat for lunch today. Do I want eggs or a bagel for breakfast? And then
yeah,
just like feeling into what feels better, what feels like a yes. But that
yes,
would be more so like an intuition instead of
yes.
going to the Akashic. Okay.
It would more for me be like, okay, I'm going to just tune into the Akashic. I'm going to see what it shows me. And then I'm
Mm.
going to sit with why is it showing me that? What is it offering to me through that food? So like let's say I see a bagel and a blueberry, but it shows me half a bagel. It would then I'd say, why are you showing me that? It would say this is the perfect proportion. Like it would be giving you that wisdom. So you
Mm.
absolutely can do the intuition where you're holding it and feeling it that way. But that's where it kind of comes back to that vibration of you can combine vibrations even through practices, but more the Akashic would be like, I'm just going to sit here and see what comes to me.
Mm. This is also good. I'm also curious for the Akashic, how does it relate to Source, God, the Creator? Did the Creator create the Akashic records? Like, what is it for you? For what does it mean to what does that mean to you?
Well, I think to be honest, a lot of the time it's language and a lot of the things are actually the same, right? At the end of the day, they're all the same thing. They're just different access points to the same place. They're all rivers to the ocean. You'll know if you're feeling called to the Akashic. Like it's one point of access. So
Mm.
when you hear it, you'll be like, what is that?
Hmm.
Or that kind of frightens me. Why is that frightening me? That, or I'm feeling a little uncertain. So that's how you know that's an access point calling you. And, that can be so many different ways for so many people. So for me, the way we access the Akashic records is through something called our oversoul. So have you heard this term before?
I've heard you talk about it, but please tell everyone. Yes.
Okay, so above your body, like around right here, and if you're not watching the video, that's about half a foot above your head. You have something called the oversoul, and this is different than your higher self. Your higher self is beneath your oversoul. So your higher self is um, your higher guidance, your higher connection. The oversoul is everyone's, of everything, of all of existence. And so when you go up to the oversoul, and you can practice this at home, connecting to your oversoul, just say to yourself, I want to connect, and just send your energy up and just feel it. That's what I would recommend. Like, don't take my word for it. Try to connect to it and see what happens. And when you connect to your oversoul, this is where all consciousness lives. So all past lives. So not just mine, yours, everyone's. And also the collective consciousness exists there. So you're moving beyond what is my intentional observation of the world to what is the collective observation of the world.
Mm.
And when you connect to your soul on that level, it's a very different experience. Have you ever heard that people have the same past life experiences?
I haven't.
So it's actually very common. That people will have the exact same
Mm.
past life experience, the exact same.
Mm. Is it like an archetypal pattern or something different?
Yes, but also like some will be like, oh, I was a witch. That's very common. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think almost every person who's a healer who's tried a past life has had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but some will literally be, I was Napoleon and I saw myself and I was Cleopatra and I had the full on vision. I saw where I was. And so that brings up the question, well, how are all these people who don't know each other having the same experience in the past life that they've never connected? And that can be explained through the oversoul because there's a collective consciousness. And so versus saying that that past life I was Cleopatra, it's saying I had the experience that I was Cleopatra, and that's what my soul needed to see for my human development in this lifetime.
There's some sort of lesson in that journey that will help you today.
Yes, exactly. It almost takes the ego out of it of like, well, I was this person in a past life. I had an experience that I saw through the oversoul of that lifetime, and that helped me as a human now.
I did an interview with a past life regressionist who talked a little bit about whether like this was real or not. And it kind of was like, well, even if you were Cleopatra or not, is it helping you right here, right now, live better?
Yes.
And that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point. We're just here to
Yes.
better ourselves right now in the present moment.
Yes. Yes. 100%. 100%. So I that's totally the same idea within the Akashic.
Oh, I love that. So why would I today like tap into my oversoul? Like what would how would that help me right now? I mean, if I was gonna go on a deep dive journey, that's one thing. But if I'm just working in my day to day, what should I do next? Why would I tap into the oversoul?
Well, there's multiple reasons, but I would say for anyone who's like very new to this or maybe just starting and kind of like, how do I apply it to my life?
Hmm.
The biggest one is conversations. The oversoul will help you to have the most loving, soul aligned incredible conversations. And I don't mean easy conversations. I mean some of the hardest conversations you've had in your life will have a miracle appear in them, will have a soul alignment where you're like, I didn't even know that we could reach that consensus together. And it happened because I went through the oversoul. So, because the oversoul is the collective consciousness, when you connect to your own oversoul, you can ask it, like, "Oh, I'm really struggling with, my best friend. We're just not seeing eye to eye." You would talk to your oversoul and it would say like it would give you a message about that person saying like she needs love or you need love and you're projecting that. So it would tell you, and before you have that conversation with that person, you would say, and this can only be done with pure intention. Like if you try to manipulate or use this in a way, it will never work. But if you really say to the other person's oversoul, hey, from the most divine part in me, can I connect to you? I have seen like countless crazy, crazy things happen where you'd be like, there's no way people could agree upon that. And I'm like, no, they did. And even in my own life, like I've had, I'll just share a small example where my best friend and I were actually at one point, we were supposed to do a retreat together. And all of a sudden, it became very clear that to me that it wasn't right anymore. And I really felt that if I had to tell her this, that the friendship would end, that this would be the end of losing this friendship because I would be betraying her trust. And, she had put so much time into this as well. But my soul kept saying, this is not right. This is not right. And I knew I had to listen to that, even if the friendship was going to end. So I just talked to both of our souls before it. And I said, um, like, I'm just so sorry. But her soul kept saying, it's okay. Like, it's okay. And when we had the conversation, she said, Rita, I came here today because my soul told me I had to tell you the same thing.
Oh my
I we
gosh.
on the phone. And so we were both feeling this fear that the friendship was going to end. And because of what we both felt like we were betraying each other's trust in that moment. And that's an example where, my soul, through her oversoul and my oversoul, the way the words came out, we were closer than ever after that. And she was like, I came to this expecting you to end our friendship because of that. So
Wow.
and that's like a small example. Like there's been
Yeah.
like divorces have been avoided, all kinds of things
Wow.
because people are able to connect on that level.
And you help guide them in some of those situations?
Yeah, I'm more at the point where like now I like to teach people how to access it so you can have those conversations. And
Yeah.
that can be one-on-one, but just even knowing that this exists
Yeah.
um, it makes a huge difference.
You often share on Instagram these life-changing moments. There's a lot of life advice. There's a lot of practical life advice. And one video I saw you talk about is before you have an important meeting,
Yeah.
what can you do to help you go in there with ease, with confidence?
For anyone listening, I was a corporate girly before. I was in consulting. So I very much, while I'm talking about all these concepts, I understand that things that work differently in a corporate setting, but you don't have to. You can bring the different into it as well and bridge that gap. So there's two things you can do. One, before you go to a meeting, connect to your oversoul and ask what is the vibration to bring to the meeting. It'll tell you you need to be confident today. You need to be like, what do I need to own in the room for the room to match me, not me match the room? So that's one thing. A few years ago, I went to a Course on Miracles workshop. Have you heard about a Course on Miracles?
I have. I have
Okay.
some thoughts on it. I feel like it's kind of aggressive. Is
Oh,
that crazy? Is that
no,
crazy?
no. I mean, to be honest with you, I only went to one, but I had an incredible experience because of who was leading it, not necessarily the book, although I have read certain parts of the book that I really loved. But the man leading it was a lawyer. And he told us that before any meeting, he sends spirit in the room before him. So before the judge arrives, before his clients arrive, before they even have a chance to predict the verdict, he will just send spirit in the room before him so he knows when he shows up, everything will be taken care of. And that his job is to then respond accordingly, as knowing that everything has already been taken care of for him. So the more that, one, that's an act of surrender. Let me give up control and let me know that things will go before me. And
Mm,
two, there's this ease that happens when you realize, oh, I can call in help. Like this isn't all on me. Like there's
mhm,
something greater that wants to support me, so let me send it before me.
mm. I love that so much. I also saw you post about fear. You were entering the pyramids and you were scared. And then what happens on the other side of that?
There's so many different ways to look at fear, and I feel like the common one is that stomp your fear, don't let it be real. But the truth
Mm,
is, fear is a friend. Fear keeps you alive. Fear is a great advocate. Fear tells you not to eat that food that's out of date. Like it's very helpful tool, but
mhm,
also it's more befriending it because when you befriend it, you walk with it, and when you walk with it, there is no more fear. It's just a part of your everyday living. And it's a very different feeling, right? Which is like, oh, is something going to happen to me when I leave my house? Okay, well, fear, thank you for warning me to that, but I'm in control, and if something happens, I'll respond. We don't need to carry that with us. You have to acknowledge fear, but you also have to befriend it and thank it, and then just move beyond it.
truly, you're such a great storyteller online. I just like love diving in because you really take us. You take us somewhere.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know where you were, but you were out in nature and you felt called to connect with a flower.
Yes. Yeah.
This whole journey was wild. Can you tell us this story, please? Because also I
Yes.
have this exchange with nature that I feel like is new to me, that feels like it's actually I have this relationship with my oak tree in the back that I fully talked to my oak tree when I was in Europe a couple weeks ago. I missed my oak tree. Like
Yes, yes, that's so
but
special. This just popped in my head. It's cute. I saw this video once that was like, we all have a chosen tree. And like, if you don't, you need to think of the first tree that pops in your head and go to it right now because that's your chosen tree. And I was like, that's so true. We all do.
oh
And
my gosh, I
they're
love
they're just
that.
waiting. They're just waiting for us to connect. Um, but actually, because I know you're in New York, for anyone listening, the place I had this experience was in upstate New York, Rosehaven. It's a herbalism place. So where this story took place, I took a herbalism course. I was really interested in that a few years ago, and basically they gave us a little jar to go find a flower that wanted to connect with you and just to see what it said to you, basically. Whether that means that the flower touches you and then you know that's the one that wants to connect, whether you're just drawn to it. And I just remember hearing the word yellow in my head. That's all I heard. So I wandered around the place. Everyone's looking for their flower, and I see a flower, and I'm like, you. I'm sitting with it, and it's like, what do you think my properties are? And, I'm like, well, I'm really tired, and I feel very emotionally drained, basically, was what I told it. And it was like, yeah, we know that's why you're here. So just rest. And I'm like, I tell the plant, I'm like, I can't rest, there's people everywhere here, I'm literally on the floor. And it's like, don't worry about it, just lay down. And I lay down, and I fell asleep. And I don't know how long it was, but uh I then just woke up, and the plant basically, I mean, my message from the plant was like, see, you didn't had nothing to worry about. And it's like, work with us to release fear and to release doubt, and to relax a little bit, because that's what you need. And it was incredible that, and I remember everyone there, though, had their own unique experience with their plant, and everyone there had something a little bit sort of wild occur with their plant, totally different. So plants want to connect with us, but most of us just label it as crazy instead of medicine.
Mm. I do have a bunch of plants in my bathroom. There's one that's like right behind my toilet that my best friend gave me for my birthday last year that has grown so much. It's in a pot.
Aw.
Every time I like pee or come out of the shower, I feel like I'm always touching it and being like, "Hi." It's so soft. And I've never had a green thumb before, but I think it's just because I've never engaged.
It also was given to you by someone who loves you so much, and
I
that's part of it too.
know.
That's what's sprouting.
Oh, I love it. Did I read that you gave a piece of your hair?
Oh, yes. So, something that's really big with nature is reciprocity, right? So, everything in nature, like, it doesn't necessarily ask it, but it's a sign of respect. So, what we were taught at that retreat was to just offer a piece of your hair. But if you
Mhm.
do not, if you, that doesn't feel right to you, you could give it tobacco if you have it. You could give it water out of your water bottle as an offering. So, different land is going to call for different things, and it'll tell you. If you're willing to listen, the land will tell you what it prefers. But it's just a sign of respect. Like, you're giving to me, I'm giving back. And something too, before we ever pull, you always want to check, like, am I meant to take you? Like, so often we're just like, flower, but ask always before taking.
I remember having this conversation with my father-in-law, who has the greenest thumb. His garden is magnificent, but he told the story about one of his houseplants, and who knows why he did this, but he had like trimmed one of his houseplants, and instead of, you know, composting what he trimmed off, he put them in the garbage disposal,
Um,
and the plant died. The plant did not survive after that. And I was just like, well, first of all, why would you ever put them in the garbage disposal? I was totally judging, which is going to be our next topic. But could the plant feel that? Even though being pruned was something that is good for plants.
you said he had the gut feeling not to do that.
I think he just did it. And then afterwards, he thought, oh, it died probably because I put them in the disposal.
Then I would say that the plant offered itself to teach him the lesson.
Mm.
If we didn't get it before, when something like that happens, something that popped in my head was, there was a point where I had a cat, and um it was constantly leaving me dead rats. And I was like, why am I getting all these dead rats? And that's what really taught me about, like, when animals die, like, what that can mean. And so, it was very much a lesson in that for me. So sometimes that's just how they show us lessons.
That's so interesting. We definitely have a cat in this neighborhood that's always got something in his mouth. Matt just
Yeah.
told me he saw it the other day, bringing it into his owner's garage, like an open garage. So we
Yes.
always see it coming back with like chipmunks and like all these things. So Matt just said, do you think they're just leaving all of these dead animals on like the garage step, two doors
Yeah.
down?
Yeah, it's so funny how we're like, that's so bizarre, but at the same time, the animal is like, it's an act of love from the animal.
Totally.
Yeah,
It's
here's
like
my
an
gift. I
offering.
worked so hard for it. Like, my cat was so heartbroken when I would then go, I would always bury it, but I like, it was so upset, wouldn't talk to me.
Oh
Um,
man, that's so nice of you to bury the rats. Of course
I
you
well,
did.
it felt like the right thing to do, and then also I didn't like the idea of it in the garbage waiting there for days. It just
Totally.
didn't. It's something that didn't feel right.
Yes, yes. All right. So another story that you did was about judgment. It wasn't underwear on your head that you were wearing. Like, I'm not sure what it was on your head, but
It
you were
was
wearing something.
underwear.
It was underwear. Okay. You were wearing underwear on your head, and you were like, when I judge someone, I make a point to then notice it and then do it after.
One of my teachers, her name's Jack O'Keefe, she had mentioned in a long time ago that if you want to break your ego, wear underwear on your head to a party and just act normal. Don't acknowledge it. Don't act like there's anything going on. And, I remember thinking I could never do that when she mentioned that a few years ago. And so for me, she has a practice where she talks about like doing what you said you would never do, basically, which is that, or that's how I interpret it. That's not how she explains it, but that's why I applied it to my life. Where if I would judge something in someone, I would go wear an outfit that they wore. If they were a little bit too loud for my liking, I would then go be loud. If I saw a video that I found very like judgmental on Instagram or TikTok, I'm going to go make it because this isn't, and this is where discernment comes in. I'm not doing things that are harmful, that, purposely hurt someone. They're more something where I'm like, why did they post 15 times a day? Okay, Rita, let's go do it. It's more putting myself in these places where my ego's getting caught up in. So for
Mm.
me, that video where I posted underwear on my head, it was like, yeah, I'm reclaiming this part of me that no longer cares. And I feel so proud because a few years ago I thought I could never do that. And now I'm posting it for really anyone to watch. And it's okay that they may not understand it or they may not like it. And that's okay
Mm.
because I like it.
Mm-hmm. This brings me perfectly into the next topic. You were about to make like the eighth decision in your life that other people were not going to understand, but felt right to you. And often you were saying to yourself, well, why can't I just be like everyone else?
Because I think this is so normal, right? Like we want to do something that's a little bit different, or maybe others around us don't agree with or don't understand. And there's just a judgment. But in my case, I had a lot of people, like a few very close people to me, that really didn't understand why the life I was living and why I was doing it. And that I had to face that conversation every time I did something. So every time it was like, I know this is the right thing, but I'm also going to have to sit there and just kind of feel like question myself because people I love are questioning me.
Mm.
And so when that decision came for me to do something I knew I needed to do, my mom shared something with me, which was that, well, if it's a Rita thing to do, then it's the right thing to do. And because look how it's worked out for you so far. And, this takes out where like we might have a bad habit. Like if we have an overspending habit and they're like, that's a Rita thing to do. Okay, we're not talking about that. We're talking about if you do things that then crazily work out for you. Like, I have some friends who, they might just book trips 24 hours before they go and that's their thing. And like it works out for them. That's their thing to do and they should keep doing it forever.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like before when I would do this, I didn't have a partner. And that was something I was really worried about before getting into a relationship. Will I give that part of myself up? The part of me that does these things. Like, will that be something I have to compromise in a relationship? Because something I had seen so often is that we often do. And of course,
Mm.
compromise is part of it. But now in my relationship, I'll always ask, is it a Rita thing to do? And then I'll bring it to my partner and I'll say, like earlier this year, I felt called to go to Egypt 2 weeks before a trip. And I just told him, like, how would you feel if I booked a last minute trip to Egypt? Because I had been traveling a lot. And he was like, is it a Rita thing to do? And I was like, it is. And he was like, okay, then go. Like, I want, like, 'cause so even just bringing it into your relationships and kind of owning like this is a really me thing to do and like it's good for me though because you see the things that happen and now I can see it in my partner like he's an engineer and he always is creating things and sometimes I'm like literally the whole house is full of creations at
Oh
some
my
point.
gosh. That's so cool
um
though.
it is, but it's a him thing to do. So I'm like, I'm gonna fully like we went to Home Depot like 8 times, within a month, for hours. But I'm like, it's a him thing to do, so I'm going all in on this.
Aw, I love that. So supportive. It's good partner advice. Um,
Yeah.
Last thing I'll ask you about before I want to get into your like daily practice, but you went to Thailand and this is years ago, and got a tattoo that you didn't know it was going to be because you felt called to do this. So, can you explain the story? This is such a cool story.
Yeah, so it's called a sakyant. So basically, this is a ancient practice that traces back, I believe, to Thailand and maybe Cambodia and maybe other countries in the region. I don't want to misspeak, so it could be multiple countries. But basically, they would tattoo warriors before going to war with these ancient symbols, and just kind of put a prayer on them before going to battle. And now there are more modern artists, arjings, who will tattoo people now, because it's not really used for war. So I heard about this. I thought, okay, I really want to do that. And I was able to get a translator who got me in with someone I felt called to do it with. And yeah, when you show up, you have no idea what you're going to get. You have no idea, which is both terrifying and exciting. Like, because it's like, I just want to give that up. Like, I don't want to have to think about it. Like, just show me. And I kind of also knew that if I didn't like it, I could always say no and walk away. I didn't have
Mm,
to get the tattoo, but,
mm. And this is
and
your first tattoo, or had you ever gotten them before?
I had one before that. So, but
Okay.
it's just a small little, just a small one.
Hmm.
But when I came and he spoke, the whole thing just felt right. And then, he showed me mine and then they talked about why it was that one. And I was just like, this is it. Like I can tell. So
Hmm.
that knowing came. But for anyone listening, of course you can always pull out. If you get the knowing, that lesson was for me to say no. Like sometimes that is a lesson and that's
Mm.
equally empowering. But my experience was like I was there to say yes, and I'm so glad I did it.
Mm. I love it. I just feel like you are full of all of these incredible experiences.
Oh,
And I just so appreciate you sharing them with us.
thank you so much for asking.
Oh my gosh, of course. Tell me about your daily practice. So, are you meditating every day? Are you going into the Akashic every day? I mean, you talk about your waking life going into the
Like
Akashic.
I would honestly say more right now working out is my daily practice than
Mm.
actually
What are you
meditation.
doing? What are you working out? How are you working out?
A lot of Pilates. Have you ever done Pilates?
I do Melissa Wood Health. Do you know her?
Oh, no.
Oh, Melissa
I,
Wood Tepperberg. Oh, she's such a good follow. She's a great follow, and she's very spiritual. And I just do like her, but there's a lot of Pilates in her work. So it's Pilates, it's yoga, it's strength training, it's like all the things. But I do really love Pilates.
oh, well, I love that. So like like I know it would seem logical that I would be doing meditation and all that stuff all day every day, but I'm focused on my human self and my human body because like I spent
Mm,
so much time in all the spiritual realms. Like now I feel like that part of me is very much like naturally just occurring throughout the day. So
hmm.
when I'm drinking my tea, I'm so honed in on it. When I'm walking the dog, I am connected to everything. So it's happened. My daily practice right now is more focusing on my physical body and connecting through that.
Mm, I love that. I had this accident where I got run over by a car and I saw myself separate from my body and I
Oof.
stared over myself. It was so wild. But that became my crack open moment. That kind of cracked me open to spirituality. Did you have a crack open moment?
Yeah. And could I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Did you know you were like very spiritually open before that, or was that like, did you have moments in childhood where you felt very like connected and then you suppressed it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I and spiritually connected, I believed in God. Grew up Methodist, and I just the Methodist religion just you have your own relationship with God, and that's what they teach. And so I
Yeah.
grew up praying in my waking life every day. And then honestly, I went to LA and I got like bombarded. My ego blew up, and I just became this like turbulent hustle energy. I was very, very much trying to force my life. This
Yes.
this accident really helped me to stop and reprioritize everything in a way that has been uh, just so peaceful and has just really helped me so much. Although I think from the
Wow.
outside, I seem very much like the same person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I actually would say the same, that I think like I have a lot of the same friends from pre-awakening to now.
Hmm.
And nothing's changed in our relationships other than what they see me doing for work. Like our
Mm,
day-to-day are very much, our friendships are the same. So I would agree with that. Like, and not much has shifted, but I love your story. And
Thank
I
you.
also had a very, like, it wasn't physically like what happened to you, which cracked you open, which is like a whole other dimension. Mine
Mhm.
was very much in 2016. I just was very lost. I was dating someone who I loved with every ounce of my being. Like, I just loved that person so much, and it just wasn't the right relationship. And I had developed an eating disorder in that relationship. I was just really didn't know who I was. Like, there was a feeling of like, this is the only thing I know, is that this relationship, this is who I am, but I feel so lost. And it was coming to an end, that relationship, naturally. And I had gone to his house to stay over, and we were talking about breaking up. We were talking about this is the end. And he was like, "Let's just go to sleep. Tomorrow we're going to talk about this again. We'll figure it out." And so we went to bed, and I woke up at probably, I don't know exactly what time. I want to say 1 or 2 a.m. And there was a being in the room. And this being scared the crap out of me. It was very scary looking. And it didn't, I don't want to say it talked to me, but the message I got was, "You're living the wrong life. You need to leave, and you're never to come back." And it startled me so much that I woke him up and I said, "Something just happened. It scared me. Something told me something, and I need to go home." So I actually packed up my things and I drove home in the middle of the night. I've never done anything like that. And, the next day he's like, "Are you feeling better from the monster?" Like, it became this like joke between us of like this monster. Now, the relationship naturally ended from there. And after that moment, I started having all these psychic experiences. And it took me a few years until I was at a Joe Dispenza conference where I had an experience where I was brought back to that moment. But this time it was like me, future me in the corner. And I saw that I was the one that was the monster waking myself up. And when I asked myself, why did you come as a monster? Why couldn't you have come as you? The message was, you never would have listened. You had to be scared enough to move. You had to be so jarred by the experience that it literally shook you to your core, and you've never forgotten it. And, we didn't do anything bad to you. We just had to alert you that this was not right anymore.
Wow. That's wild.
So that was
That is
my
wild.
moment.
It's a wild moment. Do you feel like crack open moments have to be traumatic or dark in some way?
Well, I have two thoughts on that. The first is that I was just listening to a podcast by Eckhart Tolle, and
Mhm.
he was talking about life's not here to make you happy, life is here to make you conscious. So there is some truth to that, but it's not, to me, traumatic whenever at the end, like, you and I are talking about these experiences now, yours especially, which was probably, I can't even imagine that physical turmoil that you went through. And, I know you were pregnant and just all of that. Like,
Mm.
you're looking back on it as something now that, like, it gave you a lot of gifts. I'm
It
looking
was the
back on
best
this.
thing. Yeah.
That's what I say. I say that was the best moment of my life. During
Hmm.
it, I thought, what the F is happening?
Yeah,
This is terrible.
totally.
But the fact that we can look back on it that way, I don't think it doesn't seem negative to me. It's
Right.
not coming from a source of negativity.
Right.
Um, and the other thing is too, is that, and this is maybe why I feel so passionate about this work now, I do think the more conscious we become, the more we avoid needing a huge moment, So I
Yes.
have rebirthed myself many times, and there might be moments where I have jarring things happen, but when the more conscious you are, the less those need to happen. So if you are avoiding being conscious, yes, you're going to have a few more traumatic hits. Life will happen to make you more conscious. Life is there to make you conscious, as Eckhart Tolle said. So, but the more you're just like in flow, that can't happen.
Mm. I love it so much, Rita. You are a wealth of knowledge. Tell us where, if we want to connect further with you, how can we do it?
Well, thank you so much for having me. You're such a joy. You're such a good host. And for
Oh,
everyone
thank
listening,
you.
thank you. And yeah, if you're interested to learn more, you can connect with me on Instagram. It's my name, Rita Ellen Mirchandani. My website is my name. Everything's under Rita Ellen Mirchandani. And I have a membership which is specifically designed to help with a lot of these practices I'm talking about, where you learn how to connect to your oversoul. You can do this all on your own, but if you want someone, if you like having support, then that's what that membership is for, to do it in a community where we're able to share experiences and learn how to embody these practices into our daily living. I'm very much about the day to day. How are our day to day conversations? How are our human relationships? Bringing it earthly.
I love it so much. I'm going to ask you one more question before you go, because it is a question I've been asking everyone on this podcast because I had this near-death experience. What do you think happens when we die?
I don't think death is real. I think it's a continuation and an evolution of exploration.
I love it so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Felt
Thank
so
you
good.
so much. Thank you. I've loved being with you. And yeah, you're such an amazing host. This podcast is going great places. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. I hope you enjoyed that episode. For way more woo-woo, please follow and subscribe to the Woo Report podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you love to listen. Never miss an episode of the Woo Report by joining the community at thewooreportpodcast.com. Thank you for liking, sharing, rating, and loving on this little slice of magic. I am so, so grateful you are here. Bye.